have a drink of coffee before we start today. I read the news today. Shouldn't have read the news today. It's Tuesday. You know the good thing about Tuesday is it's Quam Day, which means we will be ministering to a bunch of kids tonight. Hopefully. I think the flu and everything has subsided around here, and so we'll probably be back up in numbers again. The kids ministry, if you're on here and your church has a children's ministry, you'd understand this. And if you ever want to start a children's ministry in your church, then just know that the numbers definitely fluctuate every week, and don't get upset by that. Just take what you get and be thankful. And kids have activities, they have sicknesses, they have homework, and so it just homework's of the devil. I'm sorry, it just is. College, I understand it. In college, I really do. Most of the time you spend in class is just lecture, and it makes sense. But high school, there's just no reason why a teacher can't get it taught and give them what they need during the class and leave them alone, thinking that they can send those kids home with hours of homework, even after they've been in school already 7 or 8 hours. Our kids, young kids now, are with sports and everything else that goes with it, and all these coaches, that they treat the sports teams like they're all D1 students, and keep them there for 3 hours and practices, and then gotta send them home, have homework. What time do they ever have with their parents? 0. And parents just don't get caught up in that. There's so much time wasted in a school day, and teachers just get it done and leave those kids alone, let them go home and enjoy time with their family. And anyway, that's a harp. Didn't have that written down, but I read the news this morning, and I know I didn't welcome everybody here personally, but I'm glad you guys are on here today. But I'll tell you what, can I give you some reasons why I don't trust this government? I mean, the corruption, the lunacy of what is going on, and it really truly boggles my mind. They just walk down the street and parade their immoral ideas and gluttonous attitudes, and so I don't know if you read this or not, but it sounds like it was a domestic terrorist attack in North Carolina, where some people went in and shot up one of these big electrical stations and shut a big part of North Carolina down with their electricity. And of course, they find out who this is, and if you never find out who it is, then it was another liberal. Here's the thing: we had some liberal nutcase here in Colorado Springs a couple of weeks ago go into a liberal bar and shoot the place up, and of course the right-wing extremists are blamed for it, even though it was a liberal nutcase that did all the shooting. The liberals go around shooting up each other and blaming the conservatives. And our press runs with that. Our press loves that. They just eat it up, right? And so we'll find out. There's probably a bunch of liberals that went out there and shot up North Carolina and shot up their power grid. And then with that, we have the we're trying to pass this bill in D.C. the defense bill. I mean, this is to help our military, right? I mean that is what defense bill is about, right? Well, of course we have to throw all kinds of other stuff in it, and one of the things that we're throwing in, two things that we're throwing in the defense bill, first of all, is marijuana reform. And so in the defense bill, we need to give these guys that are growing all the weed and the Mary Jane, and they need to be able to have access to national banks, and this is in the defense bill, that they are Safe Banking Act is what it's called, but it's about marijuana reform. You have that in the defense bill. Then you have the Journalism Competition and Preservation Act, and all this is the government is going to make it where the press can get money from their advertisers and from social media and get a lot more money than they are. Because you know why? Because they're going broke. Do you know why the press is going broke? Because they're a bunch of liberal liars and they're not telling the truth. And so people aren't listening to them anymore. They have no credibility because they continue to lie and they continue to cover up the truth, and they censor the truth, and they won't let you have the truth. And so they're going broke. Good. Go broke. Go under. Bury you out in the graveyard. Kill the press and by that, not anybody, but the press itself. You know, you guys are a bunch of liberal hacks that are trying to dominate the thinking of people, and we're just not going to put up with it anymore. Go broke. But instead, we have our politicians, we can't let this happen. And Mitch McConnell is fighting his own people. And he's even fighting some of the liberals that are saying, this isn't good. You know, I mean, it's going to be a media-controlled press. It already is, people. This one, you know, it's not, I got a small group, so it doesn't get out. So if this ever gets out, you know I'm going to be gone. And apologize for that, and we'll figure out something else. But I'm telling you, our press is they're as lost as DC, and I trust nothing about them. And then, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, in the great state of Colorado, we voted against, I know many of you did, the legalizing of psychedelic mushrooms, right? Well, so that passes, right? Where did it say in this? I don't remember reading this at all, but do you understand that they put a clause in that when the dope heads in the state of Colorado passes that it's legal now to have psychedelic mushrooms? They also, in that bill, they passed that it is illegal for communities to say, we are not going to have mushrooms in this town. Remember how we kept marijuana out of the towns and kept people from having the pot shops, and that's great. You know, we ought to be able to decide, small communities, if we want it or we don't. We don't want it, and so we're not going to have it. Well, in this bill, it is against the law for any town, for anybody somebody comes along, the first dope-headed liberal that gets some drug-induced epiphany that he needs to have a healing center here in downtown Brush. He can have it, and he's going to put it in, and there is nothing that we can do about it. Where's the freedom in that? Why I don't trust this government. There is, if you were drowning and your only hope was the government, and they come by in a boat, you know what they're going to throw you? They're going to throw you a dadgun concrete block. That's what they're going to throw you as a life preserver. Why I do not trust the government. I don't want anything Do you hear me? I don't want anything from this government. Just leave me alone. And we will live our lives in the freedom that God has given us. It's a freedom that God has given us. It's a freedom that God has given us. And we are going to exercise that freedom. And if you try to take that away, then we will exercise our freedom to protect ourselves. And so that's just the way it is. And these characters that think that the government is God, you are destroying our country. And so, also, I don't know if you know this, but it's all back on the table in the great state of Colorado with the libtards that are running this. And I know I should probably be nicer, okay? I really probably shouldn't call them libtards, all right? But I just did, and I can't stop. It's too late to pull back calling them libtards, okay? And so, so now gun control is back on the table because the liberals are shooting up the liberals in Colorado Springs, and we must stop this from happening. And so we are going to take away these mean, terrible, scary ARs that are out there, and everybody wants to call it the assault rifle. There's no such thing as that. And so, but here they are. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a bunch of dopehead, mushroom lit, psychedelic, hallucinogenic zombies running around, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself. Yeah, buddy. Welcome to Liberalville. And everything, it really, what our country is starting to represent is everything that is not biblical, everything that is not Christ-like, everything that it opposes the will of God and the Word of God in every aspect, and our government is the one that is leading the way. Oh yes, yeah. Well, Joel, you know that back in the Revolutionary War and even in the Civil War, that a muzzleloader was should have only been, according to the libs today, that they should have only been owned by the military, because we shouldn't be able to own the same things that our military has, right? Telling you, you'll know that I won the lottery, which I don't play. But if by some reason I pick up a ticket on the street or something that has fallen out of somebody's pocket and I win, you're going to know that I won the lottery because I'm going to own a tank. All right, that's 14 minutes a waste of time that I just did. So let's get into this. And no hope in this government. Only hope we have is Jesus. And Jesus either needs to do one of two things that I pray will happen. First of all, I pray that that he will bring a great awakening in this world, in this country, and bring us back to where we need to be. And I don't know, bring us back. I think he needs to bring us to the point where we need to be. I'm not sure if we've ever been there. And so we definitely then need to come to where God wants us to be. And so I pray that he wakes up the churches and believers, and I pray that he will, replace some of these evil characters that are there, and give us our country back, or give us our country to a country that will honor and praise and glorify God. And I believe we can do that. I do. And And I think we live in a wonderful opportunity to do that. And if not, then I pray that God comes back soon and let Christ come. And you know what? For 7 years, all those evil characters, you can just have it. All right, you think you want it? Well, you can just have it, and we'll be out of here. So. And it reminds me that, I get on here and harp with you guys some, but this is what I read in Proverbs 29, 9, and 10 today. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. So, there's no reason to get out here and just argue with your neighbor and contend with a foolish man on this. And yeah, I'm preaching to the choir on here, and you guys know that. But to go out and argue with a foolish man, all you're doing is contending with someone, and there is no rest. And then you need to understand. He said in verse 10, the bloodthirsty hate the upright, but the just seek his soul. And so, just what I read in that, just guard yourself. Protect yourself. I mean, I think we're in a dangerous day. I think that there are targets on people's backs at time for standing up for what's righteous and what's good and what's honorable. And people are going to laugh, and people are going to mock, and people are going to call and threaten. And those things are just going to get worse. The louder we get and the more obstinate we become in standing for righteousness, the more chances there will be of some, mushroom lit hallucinogenic dopehead's going to come and get after you. But you just be careful and know that there are bloodthirsty people out there, and we need to walk in peace, and we need to walk with God, and we need to know that God's got us under, it's all under control. And that reminded me of that in Psalm 125 today. Listen to this. They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. We are perfectly safe in the hands of God, and let's stay under his protection and walk in a way that he wants us to walk, and let's be what we need to be, and find him to be forever faithful. And like I said, we think about, well, what about all those that lost their lives? You know what? God was with them all the way to the end of this life. And where did they go? Absent from the body, present with the Lord. And yeah, so it might not have been a fun process to get there, but they're in heaven today, and I can guarantee you every last one of them would tell you that it's worth it. And so just walk with him, knowing he's got us under, and we're not going to go anywhere until it's our time. And as the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from henceforth even forever. For the rod of the wicked, get this is the warning for all of us. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. Guard your walk. Guard your walk, and know that you have God's protection. Know that you have God walking with you and watching over you, and just make sure of that, and how important it is that we don't walk in iniquity, and we don't let these characters drag us down. I get frustrated. You know that, and I want righteousness to be delivered. I want judgment to be delivered. All this stuff with Twitter that's going on right now, and the atrocities that have taken place in censoring conservative speech and trying to influence the elections, and they'll probably walk in this day and age, and nothing is going to be done. FBI was complicit in that. CIA was complicit in that, doing what they could to sway the elections. We know that. Everybody in this country knows that, but we also need to realize God knows that. Whether they get judged in this world or not, they will get judged. And what we need to do is walk in the power of God and know and understand He's got us and it's going to be okay. And just turn them over to God and let God deal with them. And we'll see that. And, you know, and then I was reading in Hosea 4. And again, I think the theme, if you want a theme today, here it is, Tuesday, December 6th. And if you want a theme today, well, it's guard your walk, all right? As a believer, guard your attitude, guard your walk. Be careful of what you're doing today and your thoughts and your motives. Remember yesterday, let God sit on the throne of your heart. And it says in verse 1, hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. Well, that's part of the problem today. We have some churches that are just flush with money and people, and they could have been flush with influence, and all they're doing is telling people to give to their ministry so that their preacher can fly around in a $60 million jet and live in a $5 million home, and just a bunch of scavengers that want to use the name of the Lord. And our country is spiritually dead because they haven't heard about the true Jesus Christ. And so there are those of us, there's good people out there preaching the gospel, and praise the Lord for that they're silenced somewhat, and God allows that to happen. But, I think that God has given us such an avenue to get the word out since 2020, and we see that God has allowed good people to get on some social media platforms, and I think the gospel's being spread more now than it ever has been. And so let's just keep it up. But there's no knowledge of God in the land. Let that not be the case in Morgan County, Colorado. Let's tell people and help it get out everywhere. And by swearing and lying, killing, stealing, committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish. With the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven, yea, the fish of the sea also shall be taken away. I mean, do we not see that today? I mean, you think about our wicked state and the things that we've been doing, and now we have this Asian bird flu. Have you guys been seeing the dead birds, the dead geese that are laying around? I mean, I found a dead one out in the church property yesterday, and seen them all over the place. We got birds that are dealing with the sin of our culture. We have the dry aridness of our state right now. God is drying our state up, and if we don't get on our knees and ask God to make some intervention, then we're going to find that state of Colorado is going to really be suffering if we don't get some rain and snow and get some moisture. And the beasts of the field, I guarantee you, go Jumbo Reservoir dried up this year. Just give some thought to that. And I'm sure they didn't let the word out, but I can guarantee you there were thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of fish that died in Jumbo Reservoir this year, just in the one reservoir that we're aware of in the state of Colorado. And we just want to blame it on the drought. You can blame it on the drought, but who's the one that brings the rain? I mean, our state and we have good people who are moving out of this state. And I say, don't move out of this state, move into this state. And good people that know Christ, come on out here and fight the fight. We're on the very front lines of the spiritual warfare, and we're as liberal as Washington and D.C., Washington State, Oregon State, California, Colorado. We're right here in the midst of the battle, and I don't want to turn tail and run. I don't want to go somewhere where it's easy. Let's have a little bit of character, and let's fight for the honor and the glory of God, and fight for some righteousness, and do what God would tell us to do. And we might not be able to vote these people out, but we can sure tell them about Jesus and let them know that unless you turn from your wicked ways, there's a day coming when you're going to burn in an eternal hell. And repent from those things and find the love of Christ that can deliver you from this wickedness that has so bound you up and give you a freedom that you've never had before. Yeah, we can all move to, move to Alabama where Careth and Matt are at, and we can pat each other on the back, and yeah, shut up, Bill. You ain't gonna win this one, are you? We can all be down there and making it easy, but I don't say that we ought to do that. I think some of the people from Alabama ought to move out here to Colorado and help us out with the fight. Get here on the front lines. Let's do something that will actually matter for God today. And so get a little character and get a little salt about you and get a little bit of a tougher hide today and let God grow your faith and give you an obstinate faith that isn't going to be determined by these wicked characters, and you're going to stand for right, you're going to raise your children the way that you ought to, and you're going to walk the way you ought to, and you're going to do it in the face of the adversary, and you're going to find out that God can give you a wonderful victory and give you a tremendous influence in this world. And Finley, you're right. I mean, I pick on Alabama or the South, but you guys got a different battle. Everybody down there says they're a believer, and they're just as wicked as the rest, aren't they? And let's get out there and let's fight and tell people the truth and know that God's right there with us. I got to finish this, but in 2 John. First of all, I see assurance of our salvation in verse 2. For the truth, so I'll read verse 1 too. The elder unto the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth. And so John writing this and writing to believers, and he says, and not I only, but also all they that have known the truth. For the truth's sake, which dwelleth in us, the truth dwells in us. If we know Christ is our Savior, who's the truth? Jesus Christ. The truth is his death, burial, resurrection. He ascended into heaven. Those who trust in him have eternal life. That's the gospel. That's the truth that we have. And for truth's sake, it dwelleth in us and continues to dwell in us and shall be with us forever. This world can't take anything that matters from you. Oh, they might take your loved one, but if just for a moment, if your loved one knows Christ, then you'll see them again. And so they can't even threaten you with that. And so absent from the body, present with the Lord, and present with those that have gone on before you. And so, but he is with us forever. You know what we need to do in this crazy day and age? Well, we teach our kids to walk in the truth, right? And make certain of the salvation of your family. In verse 4, I rejoice greatly that I found of thy children walking in truth, as we have received a commandment from the Father. Oh, how important that is. And then verse 8, this is a warning. Look to yourselves. Pay attention. Guard your walk. Remember that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. Doesn't say you lose your salvation, but you lose your reward if you're not looking to yourself and those things that in your faith that you have produced and those victories that you've had and those blessings that you've had, and then all of a sudden you turn away because of fear or challenges or carnality or whatever, and you lose your full reward. Let's go out there and let's get a full reward, right? So let's just be tough here, and let's not, they can think that they've won this battle. They haven't won anything. The liberal mindset hasn't won a thing. God is allowing those things right now, but do you understand God can stop that at any time he wants to? And I believe that through the prayers of believers and the obedience of believers and the faith of believers and believers standing up for what's righteous, that God can do just that and give us an awakening in this country that we have never, ever seen before. And so let's get out there and let's tell people about Jesus and let them know that Christ is the answer. And because, look, for what I told you this morning, the idea and the mindset of a reprobate mind isn't going to get better, not without Christ turning them around. So let's get out there, fight the good fight, and be faithful and be honorable in what you do, and let's continue to wage war. One of the ways we're waging war tonight, Tuesday night, those kids come out. They've been fed all kinds of junk all day long. They might even have a bunch of junk at their homes, but for that hour and a half, God can take an hour and a half and change a child's life for eternity. And guess what? We declare war, and we're going to do our best to reach those kids with the glorious gospel and show them there's a better life out there by serving the Lord. So it is well worth it. And so stay in the battle, guys. And Lord willing, and we don't get booted off of here or I get taken to heaven, Lord willing, we'll be back on here tomorrow. God bless.